Main Street Media, Utah. This is Talk with John. I almost said the radio station that I normally do and the group that I used to do on Saturdays. But let's get this show off to a proper start. I'm going to introduce our producer that's hanging out with us in just a moment. But Tuesdays from 4 to 6 Mountain Time, and that time frame may be changing coming up. We'll see what happens over here over the next few months. You can join me on Main Street Media Utah and join me here. You can interact with my guests. We do have a call-in line, and we're happy to have you do that, folks. We'd be happy to hear from you, and I'll be giving out the call-in line here momentarily. But Main Street Media Utah, you can go to KMMU.org, and you can also go see us live on our Twitter page, our Rumble page, as well as YouTube. So we stream live, and we look forward to being with you folks and having you join us today. We're so grateful to be here. We're grateful to be with you. God bless America, and God bless the fight for liberty. And may God bless those that are trying to fight for liberty. Now, before we get going any further, let me share that today is August 20th, 2024, and today, right now, is roughly 4:08 when this recording is happening. Let me give out my show prayer and my show mantra. I hope my show is a gift back to my forefathers, the founding fathers, and may it be an acceptable token to our Father above. Then the show mantra. Where there is liberty, there is the Spirit of Christ. Where the Spirit of Christ is, there will be liberty. And the greater the Spirit of Christ, the greater liberty will be. That is the mantra. Now, I'm also going to be having a guest join me a little bit later in this hour, but we're just going to get things rolling with myself and Dwayne. So Dwayne, the other gentleman, the very good-looking gentleman with that Fu Manchu mustache of his, I mean, I'm envious. So there's facial hair, which I have just a goatee. And then there's like something awesome what Dwayne has. So Dwayne is
John, that's my I use that as a disguise, okay? That people can't tell whether I'm a biker or whether I'm a pirate, okay? So
I thought you've been both. I thought you've been both. Okay, so share with us your hat. Tell us what your hat is.
King of Hearts. This was an LA band. I'm from LA, okay? Please don't hold that against me. But I was good friends with a singer. His name is Tommy Funderburk, and he actually, for a while, he was the lead singer for Boston, okay, which probably some of our millennials don't have any idea who that is, but I'm old, but Boston was a big band. But Tommy was a singer, and I just loved his band, King of Hearts. They were all studio musicians, okay, and they had a couple of guys from Steely Dan. They had the drummer and the guitarist. I can't remember the other guy who played with them, but that's my hat. It's King of Hearts. It's a band in LA, okay? And they have a great album that no one's ever heard of. Famous artists you've never heard of.
Well, I've actually heard of him, and definitely have heard of Boston. Boston actually has some pretty darn good music. In fact, they even have a Christmas song that's on my Christmas playlist. So yeah, definitely. I'm a Boston fan, and my best friend is very much a Boston fan. Okay,
so
I want to get
I'm Mr. Producer, and you can refer to me as Bo Snerdley, although I'm the wrong color for that. But
Dwayne, we'll call you Dwayne Snerdley. So Bo Snerdley, there may be a number of conservatives, especially younger conservatives, that don't even know who Bo Snerdley is. So Rush Limbaugh, for me, was way too. For most of Rush Limbaugh's career, so actually, let me back up. Rush Limbaugh got me into conservative talk because one thing Rush Limbaugh was entertaining. And he was conservative, much more conservative than mainstream media. But as I got in doing my own research, learning about things, Rush Limbaugh was just too light for me. He was like, I almost thought, for a time, I almost thought he was like, corrupted, that he was running interference, not getting out the true information. Now, toward the end of Rush's life, man, he was shooting straight fire, right? And one of the main people that got Donald Trump elected. Now, so I will everything that I thought of negative of Rush Limbaugh before he passed away earlier in his career, I take it all back. I'm very grateful to this day. I'm very grateful for Rush Limbaugh because I do think that we still would have had conservative talk, but it would not nearly be as big, and talk radio would not nearly be as big as it is without, and podcasting, conservative podcasting wouldn't be as nearly as big as it is without Rush Limbaugh.
Well, and I used to listen to him in LA a long, long time ago. By the way, Bo Snerdley's real name.
So yeah, Bo Snerdley.
James Golden is his name.
So Bo Snerdley was his black producer, and it was kind of funny how they would say he'd call him Snerdley, and I just had the picture that some white dude, right, that he'd be talking to some white dude, because I don't ever remember Snerdley coming actually on air and talking back to Rush.
He did occasionally, but very rarely. It
must have been towards the end of of Rush Limbaugh, because
he was, like me, usually the man behind the curtain. Okay.
So Dwayne Snerdley is what I'm going to call him. So Dwayne, thanks for joining me.
It's an honor to be called Snerdley. Okay.
Yes, it is an honor. You definitely should feel that way. Okay, I want to hit this. I want to get to a couple of stories. So how do you know that the DNC is truly evil? Could it be? So I want to tell two stories about Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood. So I see this as a and I look forward. So I have Reverend Jim Hardin, who has Compass Care. It's trying to save babies. They try to save babies. In fact, there's a good chance that we'll wind up having them be a contributing business towards us. People will have them as an advertiser where people can go and donate. But if you donate X amount of dollars, you can give money and items to women that are expectant mothers. Also, you can give them ultrasounds, which helps them. It significantly increases the odds that once a child is seen in ultrasound, that a mother is not going to perform an abortion. So we'll have them on. He's a reverend, and it's his ministry, Compass Care. But I look forward to talking to him about this. But right at the moment, Planned Parenthood set to close 4 facilities in New York State, pause abortions at 20 plus weeks in Manhattan facility. I see that as a win for God. I see that as a win for life. The reason why that happened is there will be fewer abortion facilities in New York State following a statement by Golis at the Planned Parenthood. The organization announced that due to compounding financial and political changes, facilities in Goshen, Amsterdam, Cobleskill, and Staten Island will be shuttered. Now, I noticed that it's not being closed in Queens or Harlem, but hey, anything that we can do to save a life is absolutely imperative. And I think that's absolutely, that is one of the things that I'm really grateful about. Then at the DNC convention, I am scrambling to find a article. Well, okay, so do you have a comment while I attempt to find the article that I want to read about? But Dwayne, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I want to add a little bit to that because, I'm from California, and I will tell you that really the big push for Planned Parenthood and abortions came from California. Okay, and it was Ronald Reagan who actually passed they called it therapeutic abortion, safe, rare, and what's the third part? What?
Legal.
Safe, rare, and legal. He needed to make it legal because it was happening anyway, and women were dying. But really, that's long ago. That was the start of it. California created this therapeutic abortion bill, and I actually worked in a hospital where abortions occurred, and it was at the time, I was Californian. I'm going, oh, okay, well, we need to be, socially responsible. But I worked in a clinic. It was a Planned Parenthood clinic. That's where they were. And the clinic was next door. I worked in the hospital as a surgical tech, and these poor women would come through, and it was just heartbreaking. And at the time, I didn't realize how heartbreaking it was until later on. I was just a kid, okay, but I mean, it's trauma. It's horrible trauma, and there are better ways. There are better things to do. Do not kill children. The unborn they're the weakest. They're the most vulnerable, and it's a horror. It's a horror. Okay.
I firmly believe while slavery is the second worst thing in the history of America, when the history of America is written 200 or 300 years from now, we will look at abortion as a much greater evil. Abortion on demand for the convenience of both the men and the women.
Well, and I totally believe in medical rights for whoever needs them. Okay, and this is the thing, it's like.
Notice I said convenience. So
my body, my choice. Except they turned that around with the COVID stuff. They wanted to give me a vaccination, and I probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube, but I'm going, wait a minute, you can't have it both ways. This is an argument that doesn't go both ways. My body, my choice. Okay, but and I lean socially liberal, so I understand, and I try to be kind about it. But as I've gotten older, I look at it and I go, this is not good. Abortion is not good. It's just not good.
So I am for abortion in the cause of saving the life of a mother. I had a fellow student when I was in junior high. His mother chose to her life was threatened by the pregnancy. They chose to keep the baby. Unfortunately, not only the baby didn't survive, neither did the mother, and that kid went, I changed that. There you go. Because I want to see your handsome face.
Well, you know what? I'm getting some glitch here. I'm gonna turn off my video for a few minutes and let my connection catch up. So
okay, sounds good.
I'm here. You're just not going to see my smiling face.
Oh man! And then just people look at me, and that's all they have. But so he went off the deep end. Totally went off the deep end. It messed him up bad. And there's a part of me that goes, I don't know what's happening on the other side. Maybe he would have gone off the deep end anyways. But the bottom line is, I personally believe that's up to the family to decide if it's saving the life of the mother. Then also in rape and incest, I can be for those. Otherwise, if it's convenience, sorry, take the child all the way and then adopt it. Give the greatest gift. And I frankly, I promise you, ladies, you will be blessed if you give up a baby for adoption, because I know so many families that have been looking for children and are looking for children. Great families. I have a family member. He is a doctor. His wife is an accountant, certified public accountant, and she also plays the cello in an orchestra. I'm like, incredible parents, and they had a hard time finding a child. Just like, I was like, man, I should give my kids to you guys, but unfortunately, yeah, for my children, God gave them to me.
Don't give up your children, John.
What's that?
Don't give up your children. Okay.
Oh yeah. I can't do that.
My other thought on this is that when there are much better methods of birth control than abortion. Okay, I mean, the birth control pills are easy to come by. Although the argument is, well, they're going to take away our birth control pills. I'm going, no. But abortion as birth control is just not a good idea. There are better ways. Okay, there are better ways.
So I want to mention what's sitting the outside the Democrat Convention Center. A
Oh,
Democrat speaker on Monday night spoke out about faith during her speech. She forgot to mention the free abortion bus out back. Planned Parenthood is offering free abortions and vasectomies at the convention this week. Whatever happened to safe, legal, and rare? It's like a sacrificial bus to the gods. Okay, now, side note here. Um, I hate to say this, and the Lord may strike me down, but y'all Democrat males, I'm fine with you getting vasectomies because we don't need more thought process like you. Now,
well, it's kind of you're ending your party by all of this stuff, whatever. Okay.
and if every Democrat male, every Democrat socialist male goes out there and gets a vasectomy, all the women will have to choose from is conservative, hopefully Christian conservative men. But I just think of this bus. I'm like, this is like the altars of Moloch brought in. I fully see this as being something that is satanic. Why in the world are you bringing a abortion uh, motorhome bus, whatever you want to call it? It is disgusting and it is disturbing. Um, you know, and on top of that, they're for all Black Lives Matter, right? Black Lives Matter, but not all Black lives, not the baby Black lives. They don't care about those. So the bottom line is, I firmly believe that all lives matter, and I definitely want to say that abortion bus being there just goes to show exactly where the Democrat Party is at. All right, let's get on to any thoughts along those lines. Am I completely off the reservation, sir?
No, just to remind people to call in. That's all. Your lonely
Yes.
call screener. Your lonely call screener is waiting for your call.
Lowly call screener, and we have a couple people that are observing and tuning into the show, so feel free to call in. So the call in lines, you see that little scroller thing that's going across the bottom? It is the call in line is 385-899-2134. That's 385-899-2134. And if you call in about the next 5 minutes, I'll make sure to get you right on. We are going to have Carolyn Phippen that will be joining us at about 4:30. And we will be talking to her. All right.
Well, yeah, she's promoting a great event. And let me see what exactly is it called. This is funny. American Founders and Constitution Month is during the month of September for the state of Utah. I almost said the state of California, for the state of Utah, and it was actually a bill that was passed. It was added to our all of the things that we celebrate in this state. So it is now in a few days, American Founders and Constitution Month for the month of September, and she's promoting it. And
isn't that supposed to happen in July 4th?
Well, maybe, but
isn't that supposed to happen in July? Isn't that when the founders were? Isn't that when the whole government was formed? And
but the war went on for a lot of years, John.
Wasn't the Constitution signed on July 4th? I thought that's when it was.
Yes,
signed.
It was. It was.
I'm pretty sure. It was signed on the 4th. So why are we doing anything in September, especially on the 17th? I don't know why.
It's Constitution Month, which and actually there's going to be a big event at the Capitol on the 29th of August to kick it off, because Constitution Month, I think Carolyn will clarify this. I think it's September.
Okay.
And it was a bill that was passed. Our great state legislature passed a bill or made a change to whatever the regulation was that talks about holidays. So,
well, I want to play.
There's Carolyn.
This from JD Vance, if we can get it. We've got Carolyn already. Well, let me play this. Let me play this.
It's almost 4:30, John. That's when you told her. So
I did. but she's an early
We've
arriver.
been having so much fun. It's been
She's
too
an
much
early
fun.
arriver. So I want to play this from JD Vance real quick, and let's
And then we'll
see
let
if,
Carolyn in, and I'll disappear, and you guys can talk. Okay.
and then you come back once Carolyn is done, because she can only handle me in small doses. She can only handle me in small doses. All right. So President Trump's
she's giving us a thumbs up with that. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh man, that hurts. All right. President Trump's running mate, JD Vance, is not letting people smear against him, his family, by Democrats keeping him from campaigning with Joy and roasting the Kamala Harris Tim Walz ticket. Back east, some station, WISN, reported on Tuesday, Vance held a press conference in Kenosha, Wisconsin, focused on crime and safety in the Badger State. The location is particularly apt because Kenosha was the place of arguably the most violent BLM riots in 2020 following the justified shooting of armed felon Jacob Blake. During his press conference, Vance was asked by a reporter how he is preparing himself for debate against the Minnesota governor and pathological liar, Tim Walz. All right, let's see what he has to say, and hopefully folks can hear this as I play it. And there we go.
I'd like to know how you were prepping for a debate with Tim Walz, who has described himself as a bad debater. Who's helping you, and how are you prepping?
Well, I found a good friend from back home who embellishes and lies a lot, and I'm having him stand in for Tim Walz. That's what we're doing during our debate. But look, what all kidding aside, focus a lot on policy, right? The way that I'm trying to prepare is to try to make sure that we're prepared to answer the American people's questions on how we're going to make their lives better, how we're going to make their communities safer, how we're going to bring back prosperity and low prices to the American economy.
Not a bad answer. Not a bad answer. I would say I would have liked to have seen Kamala debate JD Vance. I would have liked to have seen that debate. But notice that
I had my doubts about JD Vance at first because I knew his history of what he did. But the more I hear about him, the more he's really smart. He's a smart guy. Okay.
I think
he would shred Ms. Harris.
I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question that JD Vance is extremely intelligent. And I'd say even Tim Walz is obviously more intelligent than his running mate. But
well, yeah, I have all my relatives are in Minnesota, and some of them like Tim Walz, some of them don't. But I mean, he's kind of a goof, really. It's like they really should have chosen Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, because he's a smart guy. Okay, but regardless, we have Walz and we have JD Vance, so that's what we got.
Well, let's get to my scheduled guest.
Carolyn, I'm gonna pop you in. Here you go, and then I'm gonna fade out. Okay. There's Carolyn. Let's do this.
Here I am.
Hello, Carolyn.
Thank you so much for coming, Carolyn. I'm gonna fade, and I'll let you guys talk. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, Carolyn. Thank you for putting up with me. I promise that I'll keep it a small dose.
Okay.
I won't make you.
Hey, you said it, or Dwayne did, or I think you said it, right? Dwayne.
And then he said you did thumbs up. And then you did thumbs up.
Oh, I did. I did thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Meaning I hit the nail right on the head, and you can handle me in small doses. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
I understand. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Let's see.
I'm looking in here and seeing like my hair sticking up, so it's bugging me. But anyway, we're good.
You know what, Carolyn? Your hair looks great, as you can see. My hair, I've got hair sticking up, and so it's part of what we have. And then on top of that, you've got great color in your hair, and I'm like gray. So let's not. Okay, I don't want people to start comparing. I don't want to compare looks. Okay, I don't want people to focus on looks because then they will. Actually, I do want them to focus on good looks. We want them to focus on you, not on me. All right. So let's get into what you're doing here today. So
Before you say anything, I'm going to add one little thing. Carolyn Phippen is the Kerry Lake of Utah. Okay.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Awesome. Yes, I won't disagree with that. So Carolyn Phippen is with whyiloveamerica.org. They are a 501c3 nonpartisan organization with a goal to, first, rekindle a spirit of patriotism. 2, educate people about the founding fathers and the Constitution. And 3, develop an awareness of God's hand in America. Okay, so we're going to talk about the event that she is actually doing. But so what I've been told is that we've got Constitution Month in September. So I asked Dwayne this question. I don't know if you were listening when I asked Dwayne this question, but what are we doing talking about the Constitution not in July? I mean, July is supposed to be the that's when the whole government thing happened. I mean, I don't know why we're not doing this on July 4th. I mean, nothing happened on September 17th many years ago.
Thank you for coming around to the point. I appreciate it. September 17th.
So September 17th is when the Constitution was ratified. And frankly, that's where I take part of my show mantra is taken from Article 7 of the Constitution of the United States in the year of our Lord, September 17th, 1787. The Constitution was ratified. So, and I'm going to bet that less than half of America knows September 17th, 1787. In fact, I'm going to bet that my guess would be, I'd wager, I wonder, it'd be interesting for someone to do a study on it, but it might even be below 40%.
Oh, I guarantee it is.
Yeah.
I guarantee it is.
So I remember knowing about this just because like the Constitution has always mattered to me. But I don't think I had the date of September 17th memorized until I know it was after I was out of school. And so I love the fact that your organization is doing a lot of things based around the Constitution. You guys started doing this last year. And one of the things, so let me tell you about an instance, and this does have to do with July 4th. I had a son on an LDS mission. It was about 3 years ago now, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I was just talking about, hey, today is July 4th. He got to, do a call in on July 4th. And I was talking with them and found out not one of my children had, so my son obviously had gone all the way through high school, right? I had other children that were on their way through high school. Not one of my children had ever had in school read to them the Declaration of Independence. So I said, listen, we need to read this. It took me about 15 minutes. I read them the Declaration of Independence. So then I know, okay. And I had failed on that responsibility. I must admit, I have not read to my entire family the Constitution of the United States either. I may be rectifying that this year. So let's get to what your organization is trying to do. What's the goal? And then I do want to talk about your specific event that you're going to be doing on the 29th.
Yes, and let me clarify, this one, I am not in charge of this event on the 29th.
Well, false news. Fake news.
Fake news. Here's
fake
the difference
news
between us and the left. We correct it instantly. And look, you even called it out as fake news. So sorry about that misunderstanding. I'm involved in it as a part of the organization. But there's a woman named Susie Becker who we often within our committee, different people will be in charge of different things. And I was in charge of a big event last year that was an interfaith event, but this year I was kind of busy the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 months of the year. And so I didn't head anything up, I was running. Okay, so
Wonder what you would have been busy with. We won't mention that somebody was running for, was it Senate? Okay. All right. Never mind.
So
We
in order,
we will move on.
let me just give this little kind of precursor, and that is, so I'm also on the board of an organization called Utah Citizens for the Constitution. There are people all over the state who are involved in various capacities with that organization. So we helped, in 2023, get a bill passed. Jem Brown, who is the head of that organization, brought this idea. I think Florida had done it. She brought it to the board and to Kevin Stratton, Representative Stratton in Utah County, to bring forward a bill. I don't think it was a resolution.
I'm a little annoyed that Mike McKell wasn't brought that bill and ran it on his own. I'm a little upset with my current representative. Why wasn't he the one that was approached? And why wasn't it his idea? He likes to talk about how he runs bills and good bills. That was a good bill to run.
Here's the thing. It was a good bill, but then we had a whole bunch to back it up, right? So it designates September Founders and Constitution Month in the state of Utah officially. So last year was the first year that this was enacted, signed into law, and we held an event that we sponsored and put on at the Utah Capitol. Many of our elected representatives, and by representatives, I mean like the governor and the lieutenant governor and other people, were there participating. Never mind, I won't get into it. This year we have one on the 29th that will be the kickoff for Founders and Constitution Month this year. I had sent Dwayne a video clip that I had from last year. It was the person who was in charge of this last year just did such an unbelievably phenomenal job. And I guarantee this year's will be equally beautiful and touching and heartfelt. So we had probably, I think we decided it was about 650 people there for this kickoff, just regular people. We got the word out. We have been getting the word out on this one this year as well. A number of our elected individuals will speak. I will tell you, we had Republicans and Democrats speak at this last year. We had 1 or 2 legislators who were Democrats, and everyone else was Republican in this state. But I do think it is good to know we are a nonpartisan organization. Everybody living in this country who has any concept of history and of, let's just say history and the realities of the world should be very grateful that they live in the United States of America and at this period of time. So every one of us, no matter what political party you belong to, should be interested in this issue.
So the bottom line is, I'm going to say this. I don't know how many millions of people have tried to get in China over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how many millions of people have tried to get into Ukraine over the last few years. I don't know how many millions of people have tried to stay in Mexico. Now, they've gone through Mexico to get to the United States. I don't know how many millions of people are trying. I don't know how many tens of millions of people have tried to get into Russia over the last 4 years, but they're coming to America. And why are they coming to America? It's because, some of them are getting a handout. But the bottom line is, there's plenty of people that want to come to America. In fact, I happen to have within my own family people that have come from other countries to the United States legally. I have, I'll even say it, I have a daughter-in-law. Her whole family was trying to get into the United States for over a decade, almost 2 decades. They were trying to get in legally into the United States. So I was with them last Sunday, And I was like, they were playing one. The dad plays the cello and plays the guitar, and they were doing this awesome little like band thing. You know, they played some non-Sunday music, and they played some Sunday music, and but it was awesome. But they all did it in Spanish, they're from Argentina, and I said, okay. I said, so how many of the instruments you guys have did you bring from Argentina? Because they had an Argentine drum, they had an Argentine little like ukulele type thing, but it's not a ukulele, but it looks like a ukulele. And I said, so how many of those instruments came over from Argentina? And they said, none. They sold everything they had so they could bring their family to Argentina.
To the U.S.
Or from Argentina to the United States. So when I first met him, I said, okay, you came, why did you come to the U.S.? And he's like, singing the praises about the U.S. I said, okay, so what happens when the United States sinks? Where are you going next? And he said, and he just gave me the look like, what in the crap are you talking about, you stupid American? I said, if the United States falls, where do you go next? And he goes, there is no other place. So guess what, folks? We got millions of people that are trying to break down the doors and to get into the United States to come here illegally and legally. I'm sure there's plenty of Democrats that would agree that this is,
that's right.
We should be celebrating. Sorry, forgive me for going off on that little bit of a diatribe.
Because it's true. And so it drives me crazy. Sorry, now I'm going to go off on a little diatribe. But when people, and then Dwayne, when I get done saying this, would you play that little video that you have that just, it's like 30 seconds long that just shows the ending of it?
He said it's ready to go.
Okay.
So when you're done, you let him know.
Can't hear.
Dwayne, we can't hear you. You've got your side muted.
But I was just going to say, I hate it when people compare. During Trump's time in office, people would say, well, he wants to build a wall. It's just like, the Soviet Union. Are you kidding me? You don't understand the difference between a wall to force people to stay in and a wall to keep people out because you have to assimilate them over time. And if you have a flood, you change the nature of the very country you claim to want to be a part of. But
you mean like the DNC wall, the 9-foot wall they put around the Democrat National Convention? Oh, and by the way, you have to have, not only is it a wall, you also have to show your ID to get inside.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Whoa. Carolyn, I can't let you go there. Because I'll go there myself and deeper. So I've got to stop you. That's the last time I let you go down that rabbit hole. This is non-partisan.
Okay. Thank you.
Not happening.
So Dwayne, let's see that video and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Dwayne. I got a little bit of a lag here. Here
came at you fast.
Here comes your video. Here it comes. Hang on. Okay.
Wasn't that awesome?
It was,
and
gave me
in
chills.
fact,
Gave me chills.
What's that, Dwayne? Oh, sorry, we lost him. But
I said it gave me chills. It gave me chills. So
I know it was.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was amazing. And it was funny because the woman who was in charge of that event last year, she was like, I want to do this big thing with these big flags. And anyone who's ever dealt with anything up at the Capitol knows that you have to, anything you do, anything you bring in, everything has to go through what is it? The Capitol, what's the association that runs the Capitol?
I don't know.
I can't
Sorry,
think of it,
I
but
don't know.
let's just say,
Let me guess. Let me guess. The highway patrol checks everything that it's coming through, and they got to make sure that it's good.
oh,
before
it's
it
so
can
much
come in
worse
at the
than
very
that.
least.
Like their rules are, and I understand ever since the Capitol was redone, they're extremely picky, but it is really difficult to do anything. And she was initially told, no, you can't have flags coming down. Anyway, I don't know what she did, but she pulled it off. And it was just such an amazingly beautiful and inspiring event. So don't miss it. Come join us.
Who was it that was singing in the?
That
Who was
was,
it that was singing?
if I remember correctly, it was a year ago, but I think it was the American Heritage Choir. It was kids.
Okay.
And they, I have to look, they're probably the ones performing again, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so 29th, there will be another event this year to kick off the month. We have things that go on all month, but I'll tell you this. We as a committee, and we're always growing our committee so that more people are involved and people throughout the state, but we do not intend, nor did we ever intend for this to be just something that we do. We we're separate from Utah Citizens for the Constitution, but a few of us from Utah Citizens for the Constitution Board serve on both, but they're not the same at all. So, but I will say this, that the thinking behind this is to inspire people throughout the state. Right now, we have some training wheels where we're doing a lot as an organization, but more and more is being picked up. We're only on year 2, and more groups and organizations and cities and counties are doing their own things, and churches. We're talking to church leaders, both within my faith and in other faiths. Like I said, we did an interfaith event last year and brought out David Barton to speak. We did it up in Layton at a church. And what we want is the state of Utah to be covered with flags and talk of Constitution and events going on throughout the month. I do want to tell you too, that when people do their own things, we have somebody who's a liaison with the League of Cities and Towns because she works with them anyway for her job. And so she works with them representing our committee as well, the Why I Love America committee, whyiloveamerica.org, check it out. And she works with them on that as well. And at their events, she hands out our booklets and information and resources so that cities and towns throughout the state can be putting on their own activities and doing their own things during the month of September. For those who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the area presidency last year sent out a letter to bishops and stake presidents encouraging them to do something within their wards and stakes during the month of September. We talked to many interfaith groups and pastors and church leaders from other churches and encouraged them to do the same within their church groups. So this is something that we want to be more organic, but for now we're doing a lot, and we probably always will do some basic things. But last year we also put up billboards along I-15. That's expensive. We raised money. We get no public funding. I feel like taking public funding would be completely defeating the purpose of everything we claim to stand for, right? So we raise money, frankly, from friends and family to do what we do. And yeah, we just want this to spread organically throughout the state and just be something natural and normal that all of us become used to doing within our own communities in September.
Well, I'll tell you another thing that I'd really like to see is schools hit this hard. Like I said, I would say, and we talked off, you mentioned that there is going to be something done within schools, and I'll let you get to that. But the bottom line is, I remember back into, I had 2 years of U.S. history, 1 year in junior high, 1 year in high school, and I also took U.S. history at Salt Lake Community College. And guess one thing that we never read in any one of those? It was the Constitution of the United States. We never went through it, not once in all those years. So I would hope that that is something that we can see changed. I'm not giving my reasonings why I don't think why that it has happened, but it is something that we need to know. And like you said, I would love to do a poll. You know what? I would love to put this out to the Deseret News. I'd love to put this out to the Salt Lake Tribune. I would love them to do a poll, and maybe I should call up the Hinckley Institute, or I think it's Dan Jones, and say, do a poll of how many citizens know the date that the Constitution, first of all, the month that the Constitution was ratified, and secondly, how many of them know the date that the Constitution was ratified. And I'm going to get that it's probably less than 30%.
And I'll tell you though, I think that's good because it shows, it's good if people know it because it shows that they're educated about our history. But I care more about them knowing what is in that document and the effort that it took to get to that point where it was ratified, right? That was a long period of time. This wasn't just, I honestly think somebody said to me the other day, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and I cannot remember who I was talking to. Like you, I'm afraid I talked to too many people and then it all just blurs into one. But somebody said to me, Carolyn, think about the negotiations that took place in order to form this nation. You literally had people who understood the abhorrent nature of slavery and the evil that it was. It is a fundamental evil, and these people knew it. It was the way the world had always operated, all of the world. But
well, we had been given it from Great Britain. We'd been given it.
Yeah, but even further, it still
installed
exists in Africa and the Middle East today. Almost all of the Native American tribes engaged in it. This was the way of the world. It didn't matter what color you were. I have a story that I love to tell about one of my husband's great-great-grandfathers. I can't remember how far back, but they uncovered this story when doing some research. And this guy, you know, if anyone knows my husband, granted, he's a direct descendant of Pocahontas when she went to England. But yes, she's 11th great grandmother, but so direct line, but he's pretty white and pretty blonde. Okay. And so color wasn't even the issue. He has an ancestor who was captured on a slave. He was on a slave ship and he led a rebellion against the crew. They killed all of them, threw them overboard, seized the ship. His ancestor was the leader of this rebellion. So from that point forward, owned the ship, sailed it back to England. My point just being that slavery was the way of the world. And we are unique as a nation, England and the United States. We drove the abolition of slavery throughout the world. I just think we need to say that every single chance we get. But you had people who fundamentally understood what an evil it was, and they were creating a new nation. And they were creating this nation because they felt called on and compelled by God. So this idea of slavery was in direct opposition to what they knew was the purpose of this nation. And yet that was even compromised on to bring everybody together to make it happen, knowing that that was the only way to eventually start to get rid of it, right? I fear that we don't have that many people that wise or that lacking in pride to make the necessary compromises to do the really difficult things that we're facing today. And That is one reason why I think it is so absolutely important that these lessons of history are taught. The lessons, above all, the effort and the sacrifice that went into giving us what we have, because it is incumbent on us to preserve it. And I have to tell you, John, I hear people, you and I are both pretty hardcore conservatives. I hear people on my side in recent months say things like, well, if we don't get this, then burn it all down. And I am aghast, because that tells me right there that you know nothing of our history. I'm sorry. You have no perspective about the great efforts that went in and sacrifice that went into building this nation, if you are that willing to burn it all down just to poke a finger in the eye of the people you decide are your enemies.
Well, we had a number of our founders lost everything. We had a founder that one of the founders had one of the British soldiers ride up on horseback and was given a piece of parchment paper. And his wife came out and said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Dear, I'm sorry, you need to go back inside." And he read the letter, and it basically said, if you are willing to denounce we've got your two sons in one of the worst prison ships. The conditions were terrible. Men were dying. Absolutely terrible conditions. We will release your sons. And his wife overheard this and was aghast. And he said, "Dear, I need you to go inside." And he looked the man in the eye and said, basically to the effect of, "This just goes to show how terrible you are on your side, that you would try to hold this over my head. If I have to sacrifice this in order, you're choosing to do this, you're choosing to hold them. If you were truly men, you would release them from these conditions and put them in either better conditions or let them go home. But you're not. And I am willing to sacrifice this." I don't know that there are many men on the face of the earth in the United States today that would, if their wife was right next to them, and frankly, a couple that would say, "I'm willing to let this happen," that we can bring about God's will, and God's will be done. Men trudging across snow and in bare feet, and you were able to follow them because of the blood stains that were left in the snow. We don't have that kind of fortitude. It's not in the nation anymore.
No.
So yes, those stories need to be told.
Because you understand this, as do I, that for too long we've lived with too much. And, I tell my kids all the time, if you look around you, if you believe that this is the natural state of man, you know nothing. Nothing. This is never how human beings have lived on this earth throughout history, ever. Not only with our wealth and I just think about my heater and air conditioner.
Well, God's people. Okay, so before you go any further, I want to mention this, what Dwayne put up, but I want you to mention this, that heat and the thing, everything that we have. But let's not forget the state of the world was slavery. Israel, supposedly God's people, were in slavery for hundreds of years, and God had to do everything he could to get them out. But please continue. You're speaking my language, folks. We do not want to deter into chaos. You do not want to see I've seen my children. Well, you tell your stories, what you've got going on, and then I want to tell the story of two of my sons in the hospital, and what would happen to them. What would happen to them if our nation was to fall into chaos?
Well, we can talk about that. How about if I just talk about a couple things with the Why I Love America committee, and things that
Let's
people
do.
can do to get involved. Like you would put up, thank you, the website earlier, whyiloveamerica.org. And if you go there, there are some booklets that, by the way, Jen Brown worked really hard with the state school board to get those booklets approved for the schools. They are now approved for the schools in the state of Utah. Now, that doesn't mean, what's that?
Fantastic.
Yes. Here's the thing, though.
Fantastic.
They're approved. We need to get them into our local schools. So we need people who will, and I would say contact me and I can put you in touch with Jen, but we need people who have contacts in their schools, who know teachers who teach history and civics and or elementary classes who will use these during September. I also want to say that go up a little bit. So we have a bunch of really great things on this website, but if you go up, these booklets are right here. You can order them for like a couple dollars a piece. There we go. The Why I Love America booklet. Those were created by some people on our committee. Everyone on our committee does everything on a volunteer basis. We have some really, really skilled young people who are really good at both the creation of various products, and you can find things on our website. You can download those for free, as well as some different printables with activities for kids to learn about the Constitution and some different things. Or you can buy the actual bound booklets right on the website. And like I said, they're a couple dollars a piece. Or we're often handing them out at events where we have funded them through donations. But
well, let's say that your not so beloved host said, I happen to know a couple of history teachers that teach U.S. history. How much what would it take and how much would it be for me to get it to those, for a classroom full of roughly 30 students?
I'm willing to say we can get those to you at no cost.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to put those in the schools, I'll make sure you have them.
Okay. I will talk to some people.
Just let me know what you need and I'll get them to
that I
you.
know.
Okay. And then, and I'm sure we'll have some on the 29th at our event just for free that we'll hand out to individuals there if you'd like one or two that day. And we also have a booklet that is called the Speakers Bureau. So there are a number of people from, former elected officials to people like Ted Stewart, federal judge, to new American citizens, different people who can speak at events. And they've agreed to speak at events. This is at no cost. You can go through there. We have some young people, we have older people, middle-aged people. So if you have a young crowd and you want a young person coming and speaking to them, then you can select someone who you think fits that demographic. We also have, I think there are some people who were added to that who won some contests on, we work with, oh my gosh, I didn't think about this ahead of time. Give me a sec. Sherry Peterson, who's on a committee that does, oh my gosh, what are some of the events down in Provo? Like Freedom Fest. Thank you, Freedom Fest. And she runs an essay contest with that. She's been involved with that for decades, I think. And she is also part of our committee. And so some of those young people are also in our Speakers Bureau and can go out and speak. So anyway, contact me if you're interested in any of this information and I can get it to you. I don't have my booklet right in front of me. And when I went online, I didn't see it on our website. So I can get that information to you, to anyone who's interested. But also, I'll tell you, there are a number of things that we're asking people to do during the month of September. And I'll tell you, I put up my flag. I have a big flag, has on the side of my shed, and it has It's super easy. Even if I don't have lighting that goes to it, you need to have your flag lit up throughout the night when it's dark. You can really quite inexpensively purchase just a solar light that can go right on it. Costs me,
Right.
$50 or whatever. And the whole thing is done. I have so many flags and I keep them up all summer in my house, outside of my house. I think we need to see this around us, that people really do love this country. And so we are encouraging people to fly their flag during the month of September, to read the Constitution in their homes with their families, put on an event with your neighbors, and then reach out to us and get a speaker to come and speak. I had somebody reach out to me the other day and say, hey, do you know the people who have to do with this committee? Because I want to get someone from their organization to come speak for our county. I'm like, yeah, I'm on the organization. What do you need? Send me the info. We'll get you someone. Or you can look through and pick someone. And we're asking, people to pray for our country, because we don't win this alone. We will not win it if we think that we can do it alone. And if our hubris, and I got to tell you, I'm seeing this with too many people who I shouldn't be seeing it from. And that is, they think they know best, and they are stepping off the path that God has created for the founding of this nation, and I believe for the saving of this nation. So we all need to maybe sit down and shut up sometimes and listen to other people, so that we can come together on really the greatest issue of our time, which is the preservation of this nation. And I don't think we're going to do that by opposing the God who allowed its creation. So we're not going to do it alone, and we need to be seeking his guidance. So we're going to, it'll be easy to get confused and go the wrong direction. And then to share with our family, friends, neighbors. And like I said, I love the idea. I'm thinking I need to do this year, just for my neighborhood and a couple neighborhoods around me. Just have an event at my home, bring a speaker in, have food, invite people over. I do want to say this: on September 27th, there is a live reading of the Constitution. There are 50. It'll be broken down into 50 parts. This was done last year. I missed it because I was out of town, but that will take place, and it will be televised. It will be streamed into all schools who want to participate. It's during the day on a Friday.
Well, dang it, it's on a Friday. My children's school is unfortunately just Monday through Thursday.
Oh.
So yeah, it will not be seen by them on Friday. Okay,
but you know what? Record it and have the teachers play it on Monday.
Well, I'm going to have to talk to some people. I want to get to, I do want to mention the kickoff event. I want to talk a little bit about the kickoff event. So if it's okay, I want to read from the flyer of the kickoff event. Mm-hmm. Kick off the month of September as American Founders and Construction Month. All are invited to the state capitol. So I guess I could say, hear ye, may have read in the town crier. Because the one thing God gave me one thing. It's a voice. That's it. Thursday, August 29th, 2024. Program begins at 10 a.m. Utah State Capitol Rotunda. Activities and displays open at 9 a.m. So now we're going to go to a couple of bullet points. Patriotic program at 10 a.m. with the American Heritage School Choir performing. Another event within that time frame. Patriotic activities for children between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. and after the program between 10:45 and noon. Do you know what some of those things might be for the children?
No, and I'll tell you, I never.
John Feld.
It'll be fun.
Okay, it'll be fun. So I've been told one of the things you're never supposed, a talk show host is supposed to be like a good attorney. Never ask a question that you don't know the answer to. And I put my client, if you, yeah, I would have, I felt. All right. So
It's all good. People will
hey-
need to come. I should have said, I'm not going to tell you because they're going to be so awesome. You'll need to come to find out. I'm too
That's right.
honest
That's right.
for this.
Let's just back up. This never happened. Those activities, John, are so awesome. We can't tell you what they are on the program. You'll have to come and see, because if we told everybody, we'd fill up the space. In fact, on top of that, we'd have 500,000 people at the Capitol if they knew on all the giveaways that we're giving. We won't say that any money's involved. Okay, so next bullet point: patriotic artifacts on display, and then one thing that you folks are asking everybody to do: please wear red, white, and blue. And I may even wear a shirt that I have. In fact, I'm going to text someone to bring up a shirt, because I think this is the perfect show to talk about it, or to show it. So please forgive your host of Talk with John. I'm going to make a quick phone call because I'm in my home office. But tell us any other thoughts that you have of that initial patriotic kickoff.
No, just come and join us. It really is a great way to start off the month. And I love the idea of bringing together people who don't all think like we do, right? To be a part of this. The more we can do to bring people to the table in a recognition of the uniqueness of this nation and its blessing, the better. So this will be a phenomenal event, just like it was last year. It will be again. So I hope you can all come join us.
All right, sorry, I have the perfect red, white, and blue shirt to use for that. It's not totally like a flag like I have hanging up behind me. Oh, and notice this other flag that I have hanging up behind me.
Oh, nice. I like
yes,
them both.
yes. But we are nonpartisan, so we will only mention that I have the flags hanging. But nonetheless,
Well, it shouldn't. Hey, the Utah flag, our history shouldn't be partisan either.
Yeah, it definitely shouldn't be partisan.
No.
So we can put the new flag up if people want to instead. But nonetheless, so I would say this. This is an event where we really need to get people involved. It needs to be nonpartisan. But I want to mention, the founders knew that the God of this land was Jesus Christ. So while I am willing to wear the title Christian or conservative, what I really consider myself first is Christian and then conservative. And the bottom line is, for those Christians out there who we need to allow people, even if they disagree with us, to feel comfortable enough to come. So we need all people to come. If we want to save our nation, we don't want it to devolve into chaos. We have got to have people there. And I've got one of my little producers who's calling in to ask me a question. I'm going to hand it over to you for a moment.
Okay, so yeah, I hope that you guys, last year we had a calendar up on our website. That should be up there. I'm hoping soon. I didn't see it up earlier today, but whyiloveamerica.org. We also have videos on there that you can go to. And like I said, there are printables, things that you can do with kids. There are also, hold on. So there are some kids videos, really well done kids videos that teach. And these also, John, this is good for you to be aware of as well. These kids videos on there are awesome. They're like a minute or two. Awesome for teaching.
Just the perfect time frame for your radio host. I can only, I'm like a goldfish.
Yes, but they're perfect for teaching these things to kids in the family or in a school, There are, I think, 5 of them that have been produced so far. And again, like if you're interested in being supportive of this organization, like I said, we're all volunteers. Some of these things cost us money, like the production of these videos cost us some money. Oh, there are some awesome ones. We have this really skilled team that does some camera work. And one of them is on our committee, but they have some man on the street interviews. And I know this one guy who was in charge of those, he said he was actually very pleasantly surprised that when they talked to people, that most of the response about this nation, people's feelings for this nation, almost all of it was positive, even on college campuses around. So that made me quite pleased. But you can see some of those videos online too. So some kids ones, some adult ones, some that focus on specific subjects on our founding principles. The kids ones focus on very specific, like principles, constitutional principles, short and sweet. Anyway, I think these could be very well used in families and schools.
So I'm going to do a quick change of attire real quickly.
Oh,
But this goes to show a point about why the Constitution is important, because the message behind the shirt is absolutely true. So I'm going to disappear for just a moment out of camera frame.
Oh, I'm just so excited to see what's going to go down. I have never been on an interview before where the host changed clothes in the middle of it.
Well, I'm only changing the shirt, so nobody wants to see me with the shirt change. But I don't know if you can see the shirt, but it says, "It's only treason if you lose."
Do you know?
Go ahead.
I have a son who was out of town last week, and he's a high school boy.
Yeah.
High school age boy. And I don't know, like he's my youngest of 5 boys. I've never had a really like neat son. I think that's normal. And so I spent like, I don't know, 10 hours cleaning his room on Saturday. Cause I'm like, I want it clean for the
Sounds like
year.
teenage boys. I don't know if none of my teenage boys have been clean and tidy.
Okay. Can I just say, I have a son who left on a mission. And the day he's leaving, I walk into his room and I'm like, hey, he has these 2 baskets of clothes. I said, do those need to be washed? He's like, no, they're clean. I'll put them away when I get back. Like, you should see his bedroom. Like, do you think, like, I've just closed the door because I don't even want the cat going in there because I think we're just going to preserve it. Anyway, but so I was cleaning my son's room, another one. And I had this stack of things for DI because he's the youngest, right? So there's no one else to wear his stuff. But there was a shirt, I think my oldest son, who's now 30, had this shirt and it was in the DI pile. And I ran to DI today and I'm like, I can't take this. I just can't. It was Lincoln in these like cool mirrored sunglasses. Like it was just the coolest shirt. I'm like, it's going nowhere. I have to keep it. Anyway, so yeah, like yours.
Okay, so Dwayne said you need to switch the camera. So
oh, yes.
It's only treason if you lose. And the bottom line is that's something we need to know, and it's something that needs to be shared. Every single one of those men that signed the Declaration of the Independence would have been hung for treason. Yeah. And the men, and many of them, there were some that died, many had bankruptcy happen to them. So it wasn't easy for our founders. And then you're right, the amount of working through the Constitution, they carefully considered every word. Every single word that we have in the Constitution was debated.
That's right.
The capitalization
and compromised on.
Yes.
And we conservatives, like, we hate compromise, but the reason we hate compromise is because that term has been used to manipulate us to give up our values over the past 100 years.
Well,
right?
yeah.
So we have to remember what compromise really is and what the purpose is. And I say all the time, like when we're considering a course of action, I'll give you an example. I walked into a meeting once and I was late. I was an hour late. I knew I was going to be late. I had a son who had a lacrosse game. So, they were going to do their thing. I walked in, they were trying to come up with a solution for something. It was education related, and it was with some members of the state school board. So I walk in and everyone was just going around in circles. And I'm like, this meeting's been going on for an hour already. Like, what's the point? I said, guys, we will get nowhere because we all know there are issues with education, right? Like you can go through the curriculum and try picking apart this and that and that and that. Like you'll never catch it all, just kind of like what's going on right now with our federal government. You'll never catch it all because it is entangled in everything intentionally. So it's just whack-a-mole. So I said, here's the thing, and this is how we forget we have to approach things. What is the purpose for a public education system? Like we could either just start saying
I'm going to let
stuff.
you answer that question because I dare not answer the question.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing though. I said, until that question is answered, there's nothing else to say. Answer that question, and anything that does not drive toward that goal is gone. Should not even be a part of our system, right? What's the point of it? Anything extraneous to whatever we think the point is, you shouldn't have to go pick through, okay, what language do we use to pull out DEI or CRT? This, because all they do is change the language. They play games with it. Look at Title IX, right? But when we focus on these things as opposed to focusing on the fundamental principles that are the underpinnings, that's how we end up running in circles all the time. And we're always on defense as conservatives because we're not trying to upend the system. But we've forgotten what our structure is, where our moorings are. We've lost it all because everything was going great. And now we're just running around trying to put out fires. We've got to talk about the fundamentals. And when we focus on the fundamentals and government only does those things that fall within that basket, then everything else just needs to go by the wayside. And that doesn't mean, unfortunately for us who believe in the Constitution, that doesn't mean it happens overnight because it took us decades and decades and decades to get here. And we should be there overnight, but we're not going to be. So if we want to lose, just push for that and scream at everyone who doesn't agree with you on it. That's going to do nothing.
Well, I have a good friend that I can't remember the exact quote, but I want to say it was from Thomas Jefferson, that he said these things you have to work at them over a period of time. In order to gain ground back, you have to work at them over the time. All right, here on and watching us on KMMU, which is Main Street Media Utah. We're live on Rumble, YouTube, X, and on our website on kmmu.org. You can listen to us or watch us on your favorite social platform, and you can just reach out to KMMU. You'll find us, and you'll see other shows that we've done, and you'll see how you can go and find more shows that we've done in the past. And by the way, I've had Carolyn that she's been on my show before, so just so you know. So you can go and see a show that I've done in the past with her. So the bottom line is, I also apparently need to pay attention in, oh, no. I was going to say look at chats, but nothing's in chats right now that I can see. So apparently there are some chats that are going on. I have a friend that said, I commented on your shirt, John, and you didn't answer. So
I don't see it.
neither do I. So apparently they didn't do it on the right platform. Okay, so don't know why it's not there. So I didn't see it come
It's
in.
a good shirt. I'm glad you put it on. Here's the thing. See my shirt? This
Yes.
is a man's shirt that no longer fits my 16-year-old. He never wore it once. And so I stole it when I cleaned his room the other day.
Well, you know that Carolyn, I'm sure that there's more than a few shirts that have no longer fit your sons that now fit you. Because you are not the largest woman I know. Now,
Thank you.
Not to say that I dare mess with you. Let me be clear on that. I would not dare mess with Carolyn Phippen in any way, shape, or form. Because that might be a painful day for talking John. But,
thank you for acknowledging that.
But the bottom line is yes. So apparently your commenter probably hit your X channel. You wouldn't see it there. So I'm going to have to go to, I'll go to my X and just see if I can see it live on X. But any last, okay, there's a number of things that are happening. We talked about the kickoff event. Is there any other events that you want to mention or any specific things that you want to cover? Because
I would say find us for hold on, let me find this. Oh. All right. On the 27th, that live reading of the Constitution, that will come to our website to find more information about how you can access that, or reach out to me directly so that you can stream that into your home. And then let's see, we will have an interfaith event September 22nd at American Heritage School at 7 p.m. So be checking our website for ticketing information. I don't know if that'll be ticketed or not, but for information on whether you need tickets for that or not. If it is ticketed, it will still be free. So we just we'll see what they do.
What interface is committed to be there? What faiths have committed to be there? Because I think that's important to share, that there's more than just the predominant religion that's going to be there.
Yeah, look, you keep asking these questions here's the thing. I have been out of town for the last 2 months. I never miss my meetings, and I've missed them for 2 months. This summer has been a little nutty for me. So I don't even know who's in charge of that. Well, I actually do, but I don't know who she's reached out to and what organization she has participating in that. But I guarantee that the what do I want to say, like, invitation will be sent through a number of interfaith councils. And that may be what the main thing is. I know she was looking at getting a national speaker for that. And when I reached out to her for information, she didn't give me a speaker's name. So I don't know if that's solidified yet. And so I don't know that it will be necessary. I think it'll be just open for people of all faiths to come and attend, and we're billing it as an interfaith event.
Okay, well, let's hope that we can keep this rolling for a number of years to come.
Yes.
Thank you. Is absolutely something we want to see happen. That's something that we want to have going on. This is something that, like I said, we need to have keep going for years and years to come, because the bottom line is, as I shared before, the Constitution is not talked enough, in my opinion, in our daily conversations, and it's definitely not shared enough in our schools. So I appreciate you being part of putting this organization together. I really appreciate you doing that. Let's once again, Dwayne, when you get a moment, if you can put up the website. Carolyn, if you want to give out the website. There are pamphlets, there are events, there's a calendar on the website that you can go to and take a look. So there
Yeah.
is much to be seen and much to be interacted with. Dwayne, Dwayne might be taking a phone call. So, Carolyn, can you share the
Yes.
website with us?
whyiloveamerica.org. Calendar should be up there soon. Please check back. But the 29th at the Capitol at what time did that say that was? Is that 10 o'clock in the morning? You just read it.
I just read it. Let me pull up my text
Sorry
again.
to put you on the spot, but I have too many times because our live reading of the Constitution is at 9:30 on the 27th.
So Thursday, so there are things that are starting as soon
At
as
9.
9 a.m., but the main event starts Thursday, August 29th. This year, the program begins at 10 a.m. So there are some patriotic activities for children between 9 and 10, but there will be the main event that kicks off on the 29th in the Utah State Capitol Rotunda at 10 a.m. on the 29th of August.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I hope that if anyone has any questions, reach out to me or reach out to John and he'll get you in touch with me.
We absolutely will. And on top of that, Carolyn, we will have the link to whyiloveamerica.org. I'll put that in Twitter, and we'll make sure that people will be able to hit it and go to there. So
awesome.
Thanks for joining me. And we did a really good job, in my opinion, from diving down into politics that we love to chat about.
That's right. Thank you so much.
I only had to pull myself and you away from that conversation once. So I'm going to consider that to be a win. And Dwayne, our producer, wants to say thank you for joining us as well, my friend.
Thank you both. Thanks, Dwayne, for reaching out to me. And thank you, John, for having me on. I appreciate it. You guys are great. Okay.
You're welcome. And God bless you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later, my friend. See you, Carolyn. All right, folks. Hello, my friend.
We didn't get any calls, but that's what
it.
we're working on. We're gonna get people calling you. Okay.
Well, you know what? They had the opportunity. We've got people that are watching. I've got the stats. I see the stats and I see the information that we have people watching. And this is what they say in the radio world. For every one caller you have, you can figure that there is 100 listeners.
That was great, John.
So
thank you guys for promoting. I mean, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. So.
And I did my best. So this is a group, and I think this is important to have it be as nonpartisan as possible.
I mean, that's our goal. We want everybody to be listening, and that we don't care. We don't care. We do nonpartisan.
Well, okay.
Really what we're trying to be.
Now let's be clear on this one thing. I will say, when it comes to KMMU, we're willing to have all types of voices on. Talk with John, though, per se, is not necessarily the views of Talk with John are definitely not
strictly the views of you do not represent KMMU, but that's okay because we love you anyway. Okay.
I appreciate that. Okay, so let's get back to a few of the stories that I was going over.
I can't believe it's already 5:30. It's like, well, Carolyn's great. I love Carolyn. She's good.
We love Carolyn. So I want to give out Carolyn's organization once again is whyiloveamerica.org. It's a 501c3. Folks, you may even want to. They have things that you can purchase that help, and also you may want to make a small donation.
No, we wanted to make a big donation, John.
Well, yes,
every dollar helps.
That's true.
We don't care. We don't care.
Every dollar helps. Well stated. All right, let's get into more of the just the news that has happened over the last week. So last night we were told by Joe Biden that the border crossings are as low as they were when Trump uh, ended his regime. Well, I'm reading from an article here. No, Biden and Harris border crisis is not over. Ever since early 2021, Americans have watched as illegal aliens have flooded across the southwestern border unimpeded. They have read with horror the accounts of innocent Americans victimized by those here unlawfully. They have seen family and friends die after being poisoned by fentanyl coming across the border, and the Biden Harris administration has largely done nothing. Yet now, following a few months of somewhat reduced numbers of apprehensions between ports of entry along the southwestern border, the Biden Harris administration is taking a victory lap. Such premature celebration, however, ignores the reality of the continuing nature of the crisis. And folks, what they're talking about is just the entries that happen at the border. They're not talking about the gotaways, the ones that go around the fences, the ones that aren't the official entries into the country. This is only the ones where they actually come up to a specific entry point and quote unquote try to get through. That's the ones they're
These are
counting, and
recorded
that's what they're
crossings.
talking about.
And John, I don't know who appointed you fact checker, but I mean, the stuff that you hear on the mainstream media, that's why we're here to get the truth out where we can. You know, I listened to that speech and I was kind of shaking my head a little bit because there were some things in there that were they're not true. They were not true, among which is the borders.
Yeah. Let's get on to the next story. So let's wait for this. I do want to mention this. I think someone else, along with Rush Limbaugh, that helped Americans have a dialogue where they could view is Phil Donahue. So I want to read this. The famous daytime talk show host Phil Donahue has passed away at 88. In a statement first provided to the Today Show, Donahue's family confirmed that he had died with his wife and his sister and children and grandchildren by his bedside. The family added that he had passed away after a long illness. A pioneering figure in American television, Donahue was best known for creating and hosting the Phil Donahue Show, which gained national syndication in 1970 and ran until 1996, make it one of the longest running talk shows in television history. The program was groundbreaking at the time because it encouraged audience participation and tackled controversial and often taboo subjects ranging from civil rights and women issues to political and religion. So he interviewed a wide range of guests across his career, including Donald Trump, Muhammad Ali, Ayn Rand, John Lennon, and many others. So this is what I appreciate, and I think we have seen the mainstream media go away from what Phil Donahue did. Now, there's also a couple people that he had on that are not mentioned. Phil Donahue was willing to talk to just about anyone. He had David Duke on when he was part of the Ku Klux Klan. He had people from the Nation of Islam on. So not just Muhammad Ali. He had what's his name? That's the head of the Nation of Islam. He's now in his 80s. Oh man, I'm wondering. He did the Million Man March. He was one of the people that did. I'm gonna type it. So
Louis Farrakhan.
I think we need Louis Farrakhan. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you for that poll for me. So Louis Farrakhan, he was willing to have people on that were not part of the proper political and part of the proper points of view. Bottom line is, we need that mentality to come back, especially in the mainstream media.
Well, and this is what we want to do too. We want to have all voices on here because, you know, fair and balanced, maybe, I don't know, but we have problems getting people from the left to talk to us. So it's one of the things we're working on. We want to hear all the voices. If there's a debate and you have an argument for your side, we want to hear it. We want to know. Okay, we really do.
All right.
Yeah, Phil died 2 days ago. Phil Donahue. Phil Donahue died 2 days ago, and I grew up on him.
Yes.
I think his show started in 1967, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, it was a few years ago. I also want to cover that the Republican Party has said that they are looking to bring forward articles of impeachment to Joe Biden.
I think it's a little late for that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, I'm going to give a controversial opinion on this one. I am fine with them proceeding forward with the quote unquote investigation for articles of impeachment. I actually think that that would be very healthy for the country. Now, frankly, this is happening about 3 years too late. In those articles of impeachment, let's see if I can find it here and if it's in this story. I want to say that one of the things they're bringing forward is that there were millions of dollars given to the Biden campaign, given to Joe Biden and his family from different nations. Okay, here it is. On Wednesday, IRS whistleblower Joseph Ziegler confirmed in sworn testimony to Congress that the Biden family received approximately $17 million in bribes from China, Romania, and other countries in exchange for political favors. The oversight, the Biden family was selling out America to Ukraine, Romania, and communist China, and there's plenty of proof. So that happened on Wednesday. On Thursday, Senator Chuck Grassley released the FBI document showing Joe Biden was involved in a $10 million bribery scheme to Burisma CEO Zalewski. The FD, this is, and I believe that stands for federal document, I could be wrong, but the FD 1023 from alleged then Vice President Joe Biden forced Zelensky, a Ukrainian oligarch, to pay himself and his son Hunter Biden a total of $10 million in exchange for political favors. On Friday, Rudy Giuliani told the War Room audience that the evidence collected against Biden crime family is the strongest case he'd ever seen and greater than the evidence his team had in New York in the 80s to take down the mafia's 5 families. So I don't think so. This is where I'm going to be maybe a little controversial. I think it's too late to bring this forward all the way and to go all the way. I think they should have the hearings, but I don't think they should give articles of impeachment. Don't give them to the Senate, because the Senate will, I'm afraid, they actually might go, okay, this is good reason to get rid of Joe Biden. Let the Democrats decide what they're going to do. But this information needs to come out. And one of the things that needs to be hit home time and time again is the Democrat Party knew that these things were going on. Kamala Harris, Obama had, according to the guests that I've had on before, Michael Letts and a few others, according to those guests, have said multiple times, they had information and they knew that these things were happening. So the bottom line is, that is why I think they should hold off on sending these articles of impeachment. They should hold off on sending it, because the bottom line is, let's let the Democrat Party deal with their own problems that they've created for themselves over the years, and let's let Kamala Harris or whatever Democrat happens to wind up running for the presidency in the end. Let's let them answer the reason why they weren't willing to come out and speak to this. Your thoughts, Dwayne, and you're muted at the
there was a lot more
There
going
you
on
go.
out there. But you know, this whole thing has been a cover-up. I mean, I knew a long time ago. I'm not going to say exactly when I came to the conclusion, but Joe Biden, he's had problems for a long time, and the Democrats covered it up. They need to show some, I don't even know what, integrity, okay? Because they were lying about him all the way along for the past 6 months, for the past year, for the past 2 years. I don't know, when it became obvious to them, but eventually it became obvious to them because they're going, oh, he's got to go, and they lied about it. They covered it up, along with the media. The media was complicit. So
The media was complicit in. I guarantee you, the media had the idea. There are some in the media that knew that this stuff was going on. Also, there's been information that I've been sent and read out over the airwaves that Joe Biden's not the only one. We happen to have someone in the Utah, I'm going to say greater congressional, federal congressional world, that according to some reports, their group has taken some money. I'm not going to specifically name names because I don't have that information right in front of me, but I've said it before here on the show, and I even want to say that Michael Letts has shared that with us and I've had the information sent, and I'm not going to look that up in a
and you
text
got to
right
bring
now,
receipts,
because that'd
otherwise you
take
look
too long to
silly.
do.
Okay, if you make accusations and you
Yeah.
don't bring receipts, then you start looking conspiracy theory. But I mean, even people like there's just a whole bunch, and this is, let me back up, Democrats and Republicans who have done some strange things. Okay, it's not just the Democrats. I look at Washington and I just see it as it's a swamp. It's the common term for Washington, the swamp.
Okay, so I want to. This was something that he shared from me from Twitter. It's from AKA Face Shots. Ukrainian officials release how much of a kickback each politician is making. And we happen to have a Utah congressional member on this list. Joe Biden is on there, and many Democrats or Republican names are on there, and it's tens of millions of dollars. So, folks, the bottom line is this information is out there circulating around. The Democrat mainstream media is just not chosen to cover it. All right, I want to play something real quickly. The bottom line is, even the left knows that the main, quote unquote, mainstream media is a bunch of, well, they cover for the Democrat Party. So on Stephen Colbert, he had Caitlin Collins on, and I'm going to let this play out. And the audience, just by their natural reactions, goes to show that even on Stephen Colbert's very left, this is in New York, it's a left city, it's a left show with a left audience. Even they know that the CNN is not, and the mainstream media is not fair actors.
They're
when
not
it
being
comes to
honest.
the media.
Trump's kind of on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President.
So now this host is talking about how Trump is trying to go after Kamala Harris.
He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. Oh, I know. CNN makes it. I know
That's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
That one cracked me up. I mean, the audience laughed, and they probably weren't supposed to be laughing.
So it's funny when you can't see this because I'm playing it from my computer, and I'm not sharing.
I got to show you how to do that, John, so you can play the videos.
You're gonna have to show me one of these days how to do it. But Stephen Colbert is like, that wasn't meant. He's just kind of gives that look like the kid got his hand in the cookie jar.
CNN is so honest. Maybe.
Yeah, they're so honest and straightforward, and that's a left-leaning. I mean, that is a very
that's who they bring in. Yeah,
it's a left show. And they are laughing out loud because they know that
CNN is not
true.
Exactly honest.
Well, neither is MSNBC.
News too. It's all bogus. It's all fake news.
Well stated. Okay.
Well, and I'm going to add one more thing. The people in the mainstream media, they're panicking because of people like us. Okay, they're panicking. They don't know what to do. They used to be able to shut us up. Not so much.
In 2021, former NIH director Dr. Francis Collins resigned just a few weeks after documents exposed he lied about his involvement in gain-of-function research in the Wuhan lab. At least he has a little integrity. The Intercept obtained 900 pages of Wuhan documents through a FOIA request, revealing that Collins and Anthony Fauci lied about the funding gain-of-function research. The documents make clear that the assertion by the NIH director Francis Collins and NIAI director Anthony Fauci that the NIH did not support gain-of-function research or potential pandemic pathogen enhancement at Wuhan are untruthful, Rutgers University chemical biological professor Richard Albright said.
Hey, John, we have to be careful about what we say on here because we are on YouTube, okay? When you start talking, it's so funny because, right from the very beginning, I'm gonna throw a little anecdotal, personal opinion thing in here about the jabs and the whole pandemic. I started out life working in surgery. Okay, I was a tech. I was a ambulance driver. I was an EMT, and then I moved into surgery. And we wore a mask every day. Okay, and when they said, "Well, you probably need to wear these masks," I went, "For what? For what?" Because the reason we wore a mask in surgery was to keep spit, hair, and sweat out of wounds. It does not help. My opinion, here's my opinion. It doesn't help with keeping out viruses. It's surgical masks don't work. They just don't do anything for that. Anyway, go ahead. Proceed.
Well, they're mainly meant surgical masks. So a couple things that are happening in a surgical room is the air pressure is different than in normal.
Well, and after every surgery, we take the old mask off and put a clean one on because now you're breathing in your own exhaust. Okay, so.
And on top of that, the masks are more meant to protect those doing the surgery from the body fluids from hitting the individual, and not to make sure that you don't
spit, hair, and sweat. It was meant to keep that out of the wounds because we're working over these people, and it's you get sweaty and you might cough, but whatever. We were covered. We had hairnets, we had masks, we had scrub suits. On top of the scrub suits, we had. It was to protect the patient, but from large particles. Okay, not microbes.
Right. Right. So, so a 42-year-old mother from Utah is suing the pharmaceutical giant after she says she was permanently disabled after taking part in the company's U.S. clinical trial of the COVID clot shot experiment. Now, there's a video online where an individual confronts this doctor at a restaurant. Here's the concern that I have. People feel really bad for people when they're confronted at restaurants. That's probably not the best time to do it
Not
when they're
good.
out with their
Yeah.
family. It's not a good look. Now, I have no problem if someone's walking the streets, right? They're walking along the street or something along the lines, and you go and confront Anthony Fauci, long as you don't assault, do anything that could be interpreted as assault. I'm totally fine with that. But we need to be careful about where we go after these individuals at. And if they're at a restaurant with their family, this is probably not the time to confront them.
Don't do that. Don't do it.
However,
Don't do it.
yeah, let's not quite give in to
Well,
what
I mean,
the left
Maxine
is
Waters
willing
says,
to
"Oh,
do.
go out there and confront them," and it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do it.
Right. All right. So here's something that I found very interesting. Putin opens the door to global refugees seeking escape from Western liberal ideas. Promises safe haven for those embracing
I love it.
traditional
I love it.
values. Okay. Now we can laugh. Now, okay, let me be clear. I think I'm a little concerned about anybody that flies over to Russia to try to get away. I mean, bottom line is Putin was, former KGB
Putin is a
colonel.
vicious,
All right?
nasty killer.
Um,
Okay, but he loves
and
Russia.
I give it to you, and at least he's willing to say, let's get rid of those woke policies. Now, let's be clear. I don't think he's completely open to religious liberty because he doesn't let in the Jehovah Witnesses. He's kicked out
Well, he
the
doesn't
Church
like
of Jesus
Islam
Christ
either.
Latter-day
Okay,
Saint
yeah.
missionaries. Yeah, but so I'm going to say be very careful. But I find this
it
interesting.
funny. Okay, it's funny. It's a joke.
Yes. Well, it is. There is a little bit of humor behind this. The modern West, once a beacon of freedom and tradition, is crumbling under the weight of its own radical left policies. From the relentless push for LGBT's agendas and the hysteria of climate change to the disastrous open border policies and the introduction of children in indoctrination of children in schools, the globalist elites have left no stone unturned in their missions to dismantle the very fabric of Western civilizations. Russian President Vladimir Putin has extended a lifeline to those who wish to escape the madness of Western liberal agenda. In a bold and unprecedented move, Putin has signed a decree offering sanctuary to individuals fleeing the destructive neoliberal ideals.
Well, yeah.
That have come
You're going to get
dominate.
accused of being a water carrier for Putin, like they did with Tucker Carlson, if you're not careful. I mean, you're just reading the news.
You know what?
Good job.
Just bottom line is, here I am carrying the buckets, and but yet I go after him as well. So, let me put it this way: if I know that everybody's angry at me, that's okay. That
you're
means
doing something
I'm
right.
doing
That's
my
right.
job. Yeah.
Hey! Do you know that
in a
it's
bold
6
and
o'clock?
I do. So this is going to be my last. This is going to be the last story I'm going to finish up with. TASS, the Russian state-run news agency, reported on an initiative stating Moscow will provide assistance to any foreigners who want to escape their neoliberal ideals being put forward in their countries and move to Russia. where traditional values reign supreme. Under this decree, foreigners who reject the woke ideology of their own nations will be granted the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia. Unlike other immigrants, these individuals will not be required. So I find this very interesting. So I'm going to say, unlike other immigrants, but I want to pay attention to what Russia requires for people to go into their country and what they're waiving for this very specific thing. Unlike other immigrants, these individuals will not be required to provide their knowledge of the Russian language, history, or basic laws. Instead, their applications will be based solely on their rejection of the unhealthy attitudes being imposed by their own governments. Russia's stance is clear. It stands as a bulwark against the moral decay of the West. Now, one of the reasons why I read this is not only I find it very interesting that Putin's willing to go, hey, but he's been very clear. In fact, all the way back to the Olympics, he said, "You pedophiles better not be coming."
We'll take
here.
immigrants, but only the good ones.
But it's interesting it's interesting what they have in order to be able to immigrate to their country, what they have to be able to prove. They have to be able to prove. So let me read the list of what they're waiving. And this is to go to Russia, right? Democrat Party, you love your socialism. Oh, did I say that out loud? Other immigrants, these individuals will not be unlike other immigrants, these individuals will not be required. And here's what they typically require: knowledge of the Russian language, history, or basic laws. So that's what they require for people
Sounds
to come in their
reasonable to
country.
me. You know,
I'll tell you, I think that's what we probably should require of people to come
well,
to
there
the
are
United
requirements
States
to
as well.
become a citizen.
That's my
and
final thought.
You need to know stuff. Matter of fact, some people that I know who have actually immigrated here and become citizens, they're smarter about the Constitution and our laws than most average Americans, than many average Americans. Okay, so
I have taken the citizen test and I've passed with flying colors. I
well,
haven't studied for it.
in theory,
least.
you learned about that in school. Okay, so.
I've learned about it from outside
like I
of
said,
school
in
too.
theory, you should have learned that in school, but probably not.
Yeah, you should have learned it in civics. You should have learned it there should be a civics class. Civics is now gone in the state of Utah. It should be learned in history
somewhere.
class.
You should learn it somewhere. Okay.
Right. Well, Dwayne, with what Carolyn, I wanted to finish that last article and re-mention Carolyn. The bottom line is a culture and knowledge of one's history is absolutely important to a nation staying and maintaining the nation. I'm now speaking from a Christian conservative perspective. The reason why you have many more Republicans involved in this effort and conservatives in the effort is there are many things in the Constitution that Democrats probably don't want people to know, or at least that I guarantee you those at the very top of the Democrat Party. Now, there's also some at the very top of the Republican Party that they don't want you to know as well.
This is not a Democrat
The bottom line
Republican thing. It's a citizen.
It should be an American thing. And it should be a matter of pride in your country and pride of being an American to know
yes,
the Constitution.
It's a citizen thing. If you want to be a citizen of this country, learn a little about it. Find out why we are. Sometimes I wonder, the greatest country in the world, the #1 greatest country.
Well, the bottom line is you can say some people can make some arguments, but the answer is go look up the statistics. There is no other nation that people are trying to beat down the doors, break laws to come into like they're willing to do.
Yeah, if it was such a bad country, why would everybody want to come here? but yeah, well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
joining me today, Dwayne.
Welcome.
I appreciate you being here. A big thank you to Carolyn Fippen. A big thank you to her organization. I'm going to see if I can switch over real quick. whyiloveamerica.org. Please go take a look at them and look at their organization and look at that website. whyiloveamerica.org. God bless you all. We'll see you next week. This is Talk with John. Look forward to being back with you next week. Take care. Have a great